these concepts and others that are not here, but may be very important to you, and putting them to work, we're able to explore, explain, and make sense of the world around us through research. So you'll know by now that at the heart of this course is the writing of an exploratory concept note. We're going to look more closely at the concept note and how you can use it to navigate your way through the early stages of your research process. But before we guide you on how to write it, it's important to understand why the concept note is playing such an important role in the lives of researchers. Universities are changing. Students, for many reasons, are seeking opportunities to study away from home. In this globalizing world of higher education, more mobility means that people are in transition, crossing between universities, countries, languages, and disciplines, or returning to university from the workplace to enhance their professional opportunities or open up new options. So these transitions mean that instead of knowing academics and potential supervisors in person, we introduce ourselves to them through our writing, in texts such as the concept note or the statement of interest. You may have heard of these before. This is often where first impressions of students are formed. This can be a bit scary. Writing is wonderful because it can travel, be read by someone on the other side of the world, but it's also relatively permanent, and once you click the send button and someone else reads your work, you will not be there to explain and defend your ideas. You can't say, "But that's not what I meant," or "But I've already said that." So feeling anxious about how your writing will be judged can be more challenging when you're writing in English, which for many of us is not our primary language. So we're already talking about the who of writing the concept note, the audiences and our own identities. So let's talk about those two important ways of thinking about the who question. There's who we are, ourselves, our biographies as students, writers, researchers, citizens, being part of families and communities, our skills and fears. And then there's the others, those who will read our concept notes, the potential supervisors, administrators, mentors, fellow students on this course who will form first impressions of us through our writing. And the third and important part of the who is the authors that you'll cite in your work, which we'll be exploring later on in this course, when we get to the river of words, the literature review. So we're ready to talk about what the concept note is. So let's try and define it. The concept note is a way of making clear to yourself and to others who may be interested in working with you, as potential supervisors, funders, etc., what your research is about. It's usually written in the early stages of research to clarify ideas. It's really important to understand that these ideas will change as your research moves on. It's also important to say what a concept note is not. It is not a formal proposal which would be definite and specific enough to be approved by a department and supervisor and go through ethics committees. It would include details about how the research would be done, budgets, etc. So let's move now to how we would set about it. Because it's a fairly new kind of text, there aren't any recipes. Each person's will look or sound quite different depending on your project, the stage of research, your discipline, your language and educational history that has influenced your style. But there are some general points that we can make. Like any academic text, it needs a carefully crafted background to give your reader a better sense of who you are, what you're interested in, and why. So this could be a personal background, your intellectual history, where you've grown up, lived, studied, your personal connections to the study, what in this course we call me-search. There's also a social context. You might want to say something in your introduction about why this work matters, what's going on in the world, what problems are worth our attention. For example, the importance of understanding changing family structures or climate change. Lastly, there's the conceptual context, and that's the most important part for your concept note. These are the specialist terms that you'll need to define carefully. We looked at some of those at the beginning when we were introducing some of those concepts. So we'd be interested in who else uses this term. Is its meaning settled, or are there debates about what it means? When was it first used and where? Again, these questions we'll be exploring later on when we get to the river of words. So you can see that writing a concept note is important and useful, like a portal or gateway that can provide a sense of the directions you might take as you make your way forward. There's lots of guidance in the next few weeks, but remember, it's your concept note and your journey.